So, hey guys, Chauzu here. 10th Annie is very soon, but we still have 2 new legends to talk about. So I'm going to end this with the Super Sugo Fest exclusive Ace. So in this video we'll instead talk about the 6+ Luffy that we're getting, the new Super Evolution. And as you might have heard, this Luffy is what we call a SIDEGRADE. And in case you don't know what that means, it basically means that like a lot of these 6+ are just a pure buff, a better version of the 6-star version. But in this case, the 6+ and 6-star are actually different. For example, 6+ Luffy is an attack booster, 6-star is an ore booster. They're also different in PvP, which we talk about. So in those cases, you basically want to try and keep 2 copies. But of course, many might only have 1 copy because they fed the dupes into the old Luffy for level limit break, which is very understandable. I'm lucky to have a dupe, so I'm good in that sense. But yeah, we're talking long term here, like short term. Like you probably just want to evolve the Luffy and then maybe work towards getting another one in the future. But yeah, to start this, let's talk about what the old Luffy did and compare it with the 6+. And yeah, old Luffy has one of the worst art in the game, especially for a Super Sugo. I dislike this art with a passion. I hated it on release, still hate it. I actually dislike the new Ace's art even more, but that's something I'll talk about in the Ace video, I'm sure. I always like to complain about stuff like that. But yeah, so the art is a pure buff, even if I have some issues with this art as well actually, but yeah, it's still a clear improvement. But yeah, old Luffy, Dex, Fighter, Free Spirit, so same as the new one. And Captain ability is basically the same, to be honest. The buffs are a bit lower and it lacks some effect, but yeah, we can talk about this when we get to the 6+, honestly. Special is different though. Reduces CD by 1, deals a lot of damage to all enemies. Reduces a spear by 20 turns. Changes all slots including block to tandem, locks them. And if the character is a captain or friend captain, you get a 3.25 times aura boost for Free Spirit and Fighter. So yeah. He's also only a Free Spirit Fighter booster. I think the 6+ adds Dex to that, so that's also a clear buff. And the biggest buff is the fact that with the 6+, he still extends attack boost like the 6-star does, but the 6-star doesn't do an attack boost, doesn't ore boost, and it's only 1 turn. So here you can only get 1 turn of ore boost, which is a bit whatever. But the 6+ can give 3 turns attack boost. That's a huge difference in viability. Like 3 turns big buffs are very valuable. That's one of the reasons Roger is so good, together with the fact that they can't be deleted. Another difference is that this Luffy does damage, which is good in some cases, bad in others, but it's a difference nonetheless. One big difference is that this Luffy has a super and the 6+ has an EX. And it might sound like this is clearly a buff, but it's actually not that easy because the super only requires 1 specific unit, the EX requires 3, which is actually pretty insane. I think it was 3 at least, we'll double check it, 2 or 3 at least. So yeah, the effect is stronger, but this is still fine. Like you get -1 CD, buff ore boost a bit, get some base attack boost, like it's fine. Super Free Spirit. Super Tandem also changes a bit, like one of the annoying things with this Super Tandem is that you need a Zoro or a Sanji on the team. But the effect, yeah, it's pretty strong considering this is like the first Super Tandem we got. 2.5 times attack boost, that's still not a guarantee you get today. Also matching slots, which is fine. Also in PvP, Luffy has seen some long-term viability there as a key unit on Dex, thanks to having a Dex teammate revive and adding a lot of bulk, and with the special letting you bring a special back to 100%, which is very useful. But Dex is in a pretty horrible spot right now. I think it's mainly used a bit on defense, and some like to use Dex in Grand Party just to lose in a good way, like to charge, to make the enemy Gear 5 waste their burst. So that's like the way you use decks nowadays. With that, let's talk about the changes with the 6+. And here he is. 6+ Luffy, still Dex Free Spirit Fighter. And yeah, let's jump right into the captain ability. And as you see, he's now a Dex booster as well, which helps a lot with team building. Attack is buffed to 5.75 times with tandem slots, otherwise 5.5 times attack. Tandem on matching, higher chance of getting tandem. And if you use a special to boost attack, or a, what should we call this? Attack multiplier of slots buff. Sure, we'll go with that. You extend those effects by 1 turn, and this is helpful since both those effects can be given by Luffy himself with his special, and he gives them for 2 turns. So with just 1 Luffy as captain, you get a 3-turn effect of these, which is really valuable. Special wise, still -1 CD, still reduces the spear by 20 turns, still changes all slots including block to tandem. He still locks them as well. They've added that he changed the attack multiplier of tandem slots to 2.75 times, which is really good. Like, that's a very solid effect. It's 2 turns, so 3 if you run a Luffy as captain. And if character is captain, friend captain, or helper captain, you get a 3.25 times attack boost for Dex Free Spirit Fighter. And if Luffy is a sub, it's a 3-turn buff for 2 turns otherwise. 3 times buff. So yeah, I do like this. Like, the main negative is the fact that to get the full effect of this, you need Luffy to be captain. And while Luffy has some cool effect as captain, he does lack any kind of utility. So it's not an easy choice to just put him as captain team building wise. Even if getting 3 turns buff is great by itself, like, helps a lot with team building too. So I'm happy with this SIDEGRADE. Like, from a PVE perspective, I definitely rank this Luffy as more useful, especially since they built him around a new ace that we'll talk about later. Like, this Luffy helps that ace a lot in team building. Tandem slots matching, doesn't seem to be any changes there. We can talk about the EX. And yeah, you do need 3 specific units. It's so frustrating. Like, 2 is fine enough. You don't need to do like 3 units for every Luffy. It's super frustrating. This is a big negative for the new V2 Gear 5 Luffy as well that we're getting for the 10th Annie. But yeah, the effect is a lot stronger at least. You get -2 CD instead of -1 CD. You increase the attack boost, ore boost, and color affinity boost by +0.25. So that's pretty cool if you run this unit with Roger, for example. You turn all of his buffs into a 3 times buff. The next final tap is boosted by 50% if a Dex Free Spirit of Fire does it. And by this, it's not the final tap potential ability, but doing the final tap of a chain. That's all that matters. And 50% extra damage when hitting last. It's good, like, not much to complain about. So they did remove the base attack boost here, but that might be fine. Not sure how to calculate the difference, but base attack boost is a lot more common at least, so you can probably get it from someone else. Another thing to note is the fact that there's a lot more units in the EX Super here. And all of the Straw Hats, we have Ace, Sabo, Shanks, Machina, Whoopslap. They even added Ray League, despite not being in the art from what I can see. But of course, he's pretty important in the moment with the hat here, so yeah. Super Tandem also got a nice buff, like, it's still a 2.5 times buff for Dex now at least as well, which is nice. Still matching slot effects, but they added 80% death down through full immunity. So this can combine with a support to give a bit of a death down conditional boost or another special to do it. 80% is usually not enough to ignore death ups, depends on the content in the end. Now I'd say the biggest buff is the fact that you don't just need a Zoro or a Sanji, you get away with an Ace or a Sabo too. This helps a lot with team building. Like, it makes this Luffy a lot better and more easy to build with. especially since the new Ace is one of the best units to pair this Luffy with. And the new Ace also has a rush. You can start with a rush, for example, build into a super tandem, and you early on get a lot of extra damage, and you can maybe even fit a final tapping in the end. So yeah, it's going to be really fun to use them together. Yeah, we'll do like usual and talk about PvP after, but yeah, let's look at some units to pair Luffy with. Not going to be as many as in other videos, but we'll take a look at some of them. If we look from the deck side, Robin Koala, amazing synergy. Like, they have a good synergy with a lot of the new units, but with Luffy, like Luffy 3-turn attack boost, Koala, Robin Koala with super swap, 3-turn ore boost, 3-turn color affinity, like you got all buffs covered. So really good together. Blackbeard can also do 3-turn ore boost, also has utilities, that's pretty cool. Luffy Yamato can do an ore boost, increase damage taken to full immunity, also some good utility, can maybe work together. Rayleigh also 3-turn ore boost, also gives you a chain lock, and Nami can give ore boost and color affinity. As for some other colors, well, Vivi resist special bind, 3-turn ore boost. Luffy can resist a couple of buffs and also give ore boost and some chain multiply boosts. And Roger is pretty cool since you get the 3-turn attack boost with Luffy. Roger gives a color affinity to them for 3 turns, and if you have an ore boost you extend it, so that's another way to get all of the buffs for 2 stages. Then we have some death down conditional users like the Robin, pretty good. She does 4 turns color affinity or 4 turns death down conditional boost, which really helps. But with Luffy you can just proc the super tandem on final stage, for example, and you still get that conditional boost. And Jinbei is another one of those units who has a random death down conditional, but hard to make use of it. But with Luffy you get it for free basically. Finally, just some units for the super tandem, and honestly I missed that Sabo was part of it. The fun thing is I've been thinking since reading the unit the first time, like, why did they add Ace and not Sabo? And now when I read again, I see Sabo there. So surely there is some good Sabo we can put. We can just put the GOAT himself there, the Annie Sabo. Can be part of it. He has a super tandem in himself, but it's not kinda shit, it's very shit. So we'll just put him for there. But yeah, some potential units. Sanji can do the rush combo with Luffy that we talked about with Ace. The Halloween Ace, of course, always solid. One of the best fighter captains in the game. One of the very few good fighter captains in the game. And then I just put a random Zoro, like there's not a lot of good Dex or fighter or free spirit Zoros, I'd say. But yeah, that's some potential partners. Let's end this video by talking about PvP, since this is the thing I feel like people are the most upset about, since, yeah, we have DEX Luffy, who has been, or 6-star Luffy, who has been a cornerstone for DEX PvP teams, and still is. I presume. I don't really use DEX teams myself since some time. And now we're getting a 6+, who is not DEX at all. And yeah, it's kind of hard. Like, first we have the issue of getting to Luffy, which might take a while for some, so you have to commit, like they have the 6+ or a 6-star. And as I said, I probably recommend the 6+ from now, mostly since I feel like Dex is pretty irrelevant in Pyro Rumble right now, at least from my point of view. But like long term, like, yeah, you should have both, but then it's like, who do you keep more invested? And probably the 6-star, since he's more viable in Pyro Rumble where stats matter. But my hope with this Luffy is that fighters get better over time, and he will help fighters get better as well. So yeah, I'm happy in that aspect, but I understand the people who aren't happy, if that makes sense. But yeah, for fighters, it's basically the same as the 6-star, maybe a bit higher buffs, I can't bother comparing. HP up level 6, death up level 6, attack up level 6 to fighter. Revive fighter, class teammate 1 time for 50% HP, self-death up level 6. So yeah, this Luffy is going to be hard to take down like usual. One enemy is hit very hard 3 times. Target self for counter stance, and if HP is below 50%, you target one fighter class teammate with special CT below 100%, and you put them to max. So basically the same as the 6-star Luffy. I think the damage is a bit higher, but that's the only difference. So yeah, that's going to be a very useful trait for fighters to have. But obviously in the future, like if you get a broken fighter unit, it's a good chance it is a Luffy. So at that point, will we even use this Luffy? Like, yeah, might not be the case. Grand Party, don't think anything has changed. I think he's pretty fun in Grand Party, but not particularly viable nowadays. So yeah, that's me talking about the 6+ Luffy. Let me know what you guys think. Are you happy about getting a SIDEGRADE? Or are you stressed that you don't have any Luffy dupes and will have preferred just a straight up buff? Let me know down in the comments. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.